Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining the Śrī Īśopaniṣad class.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Rasraj is looking straight into the camera. His Bhakti Shastri journey started almost 1 year ago when he ate my chapter 7 homework. He has internalized chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita fully. I have a picture of him eating that homework. All right. Yeah. So we will start with the Mangalacharan, and then I will go ahead.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjan Salakya Chinmili
Namaha Śrī Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Ayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Śrī Guru Śrī Yuta Padakamalam Śrī Gurun Vaishnavamscha Śrī Rūpaṁ Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paśyātya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai.
Very nice. Thank you very much. So now Jainitai Prabhu will recite the invocation verse. You can all follow along, like lead follow. So please, maybe this side so you can voice this kind of into this.
Invocation verse. Om Purnamadaha
Om Purnamadaha
Purnamadaha
Purnat Purnam
Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate.
The personality of Godhead
Personality of Godhead is
and because he is complete
soul.
All emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Mantra 1.
Today you're not sharing screen?
No, just follow along yourself.
Okay.
Ishavashyam idam sarvam
Īśāvāśyam idam sarvam
Tam Jagat
यत्किञ्चित्
yatkinchir jagatyam jagat
Tena Bhunjita
तेन त्यक्तेन
Magradaha
yena taktena bhunjitha
Everything or inanimate
everything animate or inanimate
magridha kasya sridhanam.
is controlled and
owned by the Lord.
one should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself,
Accept only those things necessary for himself,
which are set aside as his quota.
Which are set aside as his quota.
And one should not accept other things
And one should not accept other things
owned out of whom they belong.
which belongs to.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Okay. One second. I'm just trying to fix the slides. My slides got a little bit jumbled up. It seems I must have done some wrong mouse click and they went. I'm trying to arrange them in the right sequence. That's all. So give me a minute. I just need to fix this. I hope this is good enough. If we discover any out of place, then we will see. Okay. Is it visible? Okay, nice. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yeah, sorry for the last minute confusion. So, first of all, welcome to the Īśopaniṣad discussion. Today may be the second last discussion of Śrī Īśopaniṣad. Next week, we might complete the Īśopaniṣad. For those doing Bhakti Shastri, please be prepared. The test might occur. So today is 14th, 21st might be the last class of Īśopaniṣad. So about 1 month from that. So last week of February might be the test. So please keep that in mind. I will send a notification as well. So let's start with mantra 15 and 15 onwards. You're saying I should pause the recording. Why should we pause it? Is everything okay? Okay. Okay. We will continue the discussion. Okay. All right, fine. So mantras 15 to 18. So this is the last section of the Īśopaniṣad. So what we have covered so far. So this is the final section of Śrī Īśopaniṣad. And just a quick summary of how we got here. And through the Īśopaniṣad, basically Srila Prabhupada is giving us a very beginner level overview to Krishna consciousness. All the important points are covered in the Īśopaniṣad. So in the first 3 verses that we just recited, the invocation verse, Purnamadaha Purnamidam, and Ishavashyam Idam Sarvam, and the next 2 ones, the benefit of aligning with the Ishavashya principle and the perils of being unaligned or misaligned with the Ishavashya principle. Those are mentioned. So the concept of Ishvara, so the concept is mentioned in the first 3 verses, and it's a application oriented as well. Our need for alignment to Ishvara, that Ishvara is the owner and controller of this whole universe. Ishavashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. And we should remain within our boundaries, knowing that we are just the caretakers. Okay, ma gridha kasya svidhanam. Ma means no. Ma shcha means do not worry, Lord says, 18.6. So ma means no or do not. So don't go after something which is outside your quota. Yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha. So bhunjitha means to enjoy only what has been given to you. Okay, so those were the first 3 to understand the whole concept of alignment with Ishvara and to follow that alignment. Then we can overcome. Everything is overcomable, but the Lord is not, cannot be overcome. So if that is the misconception we have, it has been shown that the Lord is more. Hiranyakashipu also tried that, but he failed. He thought he could win over the Lord. And then through those potencies in the next section, 3rd section, 6, 7, 8, through the potencies of the Supreme Lord, we could understand how to overcome our own dualities so that we don't have any sinful thoughts in our mind. We see everything as the same. There is no anxiety. There is no hatred towards others, and so on. So we understood how to control our mind through the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. So we covered the concept, we covered the immense power and potency of the Lord. Then we covered how to control our mind with that knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Then the Lord described how knowing the process of avidya, vidya and avidya, how to attain him, how to use vidya and avidya to attain the Lord. The next section, 12, 13, 14, how to do upasana or worship of the Lord and the demigods, and in this material world, what actions to do and how to focus our attention on the Lord, how to do the upasana. So all those things, 1 to 14, I have summarized in this blue box below, were our effort. We need to put our effort. We need to understand the potency of the Lord, the power of the Lord, to see the dualities and move above them, to understand vidya, avidya, and do the right kind of upasana. All that is upon us. So the first 14 verses were basically in directing our effort in the right direction. Okay. Now the last 4 verses are simply invoking the Lord's mercy. So our effort is a big part of our sadhana, but also invoking the mercy of the Lord, the kripa of the Lord, the blessings or his help is another important aspect of our sadhana. Without that, we cannot attain perfection. Even so, what I have written here in the blue box leads to Brahman or Paramatma realization. That also, yes, it is true. The theory says that it is possible. Okay. But practically it is virtually impossible. Because again, going back to the same example, what example? What's our favorite example? That theoretically it may be possible by our own effort, but practically it is impossible. What example comes to your mind? Anybody wants to raise hand on Zoom or anything like that? Please feel free to do that. Am I audible? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. So what example comes to mind? You're not reading the purports of Srila Prabhupada. Yes, my wife has raised the hand. Yeah, the staircase example. You have to climb 100 stairs and you choose the staircase path. So yes, it is possible through the staircase to reach the 100th floor. But that is not the recommended way because there is an elevator right next to it. So you might start on the path of the staircase, but you might, get fatigued and stop somewhere in the middle. Or you might, die climbing if you have a heart problem, whatever. So it is possible, but it is virtually or practically impossible. But it still also leads only to the 99th floor. That is another example of the staircase that is given. Finally, you thought that you saw from outside the building is 100 floors tall. Staircase says no access to roof or something like that. No access to 100th floor. You must take the elevator. Jnanavan mam prapadyate. Bahunam janmanam ante. After climbing 99 floors, finally you have to take the elevator. Mam prapadyate you have to do to reach the Vasudevah Sarvam iti. You're following, right? So 1 to 14 is describing our effort and our effort basically. And last 4 verses are describing the invoking of Lord's mercy. And that leads to the full understanding, which is Bhagawan. So in the purports of these verses, 15, 16, 17, 18, Srila Prabhupada is describing in great detail the Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan aspects. But that we have covered many times. And the relative levels of those from from Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. In that order. Brahman is the lowest, then Paramatma, and then Bhagavan. We have given the example of smelling the cake, then seeing the cake, and then eating the cake, and so on. Or the sunlight, feeling the heat of the sun versus seeing the sun, the disk of the sun, versus inside the sun is the sun god. So all those examples are given. In fact, in our Bhagavad Gita class on Fridays, that will be the topic of the next class, because we will start from chapter 15, verse number 16. 16, 17, and 18 are directly referring to the Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan aspects. So if you're interested in a little more detail, you can join next Friday. So that is the placement of these 4 verses in the sequence of the Īśopaniṣad. Is that clear? The mercy of the Lord. So the next topic is, so let's read the verses. Okay. So I will quickly read it. You don't need to recite. Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham tattvam pushan avap apavrinu satya dharmaya drishtaye. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. And I will read the 16th one also in the same sequence, or without going into the details of 15. Pushan ekarshyam surya prajapatya vyuha rashmin samuha tejo yatte rūpaṁ kalyāṇa-tamaṁ tatte paśyāmi yo sava asau purushah soham asmi. O my Lord, O primeval philosopher, maintainer of the universe, O regulating principle, destination of the pure devotees, well-wisher of the progenitors of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your form of bliss. You are the eternal supreme personality of Godhead, like unto the sun as am I. So many important points to be covered in these two verses. Okay, we'll come back to these two verses in a short time today. So what are these two verses covering? So the first verse, or 15th one, is saying, O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. So dazzling or golden it is. Hiranmayena patrena. Hiran is gold. That's why Hiranyakashipu's name was Hiranyakashipu, because he was always attracted to gold or wealth or material sense gratification. So your face is like it is appearing to be like a patra, a vessel of golden effulgence, bright effulgence. So, and which is covering your face. Apihitam mukham. There is a face behind this effulgence. Okay, like if we don't have effulgence on our face, but you can imagine if you are standing so apavrinu means to remove. So there is a request by the devotee to remove that dazzling effulgence, so that, or to turn off that bright light, so that your face can be visible to your devotee. So satya dharmaya means those who the devotee of the Lord. Satya is referring to the Supreme Lord. Dharmaya, one who is following the instructions of the Supreme Lord, is Satya Dharmaya, means the devotee of the Lord. Drishtaye, so that the devotee can see the face of the Lord once he has removed that dazzling effulgence. Is that clear? So the devotee is praying to the Lord that please remove the effulgence. I want to see your face. That is the main essence of this verse in simple terms or simplified term. The next one, you can see there is a address by the devotee, and he is glorifying the Lord by many adjectives. Pushan means one who does poshan. Poshan means maintenance. It's a Hindi or a Sanskrit word. Poshan karna means to support or maintain or take care of. So one who takes care of. Ekarshe means he is the Eka Rishi, the one who is the embodiment of all the knowledge, who gives the knowledge. So like that, Yam Surya Prajapatya. Yam, he is the Yam means the embodiment of all the rules. Yam means Yam like Yam and Niyama, rules and regulations, do's and don'ts. That's why Yamraj is known as Yamraj. He is the one who enforces that people are following the rules or not. If they don't follow the rules, then he, gives them appropriate reactions. Okay, so Yama, so he is the one who, is the embodiment or is the rule following principle. Surya is here not referring to the sun. It is referring to the Surya, means the Suras. Suras are who? The saintly people and the destination of the saintly people. So he is Surya, the destination of the devotees. Prajapatya, so he is the well-wisher of the Prajapatis, and Prajapatis are the well-wishers and the progenitors of mankind. So he is the well-wisher of the well-wishers, so to say. Okay, the well-wisher of the Prajapatis or progenitors of mankind. So like that, we will not, there's a lot of material to cover. So well-wisher of the progenitors of mankind. Again, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your form of bliss. Yatte rūpaṁ kalyāṇa-tamaṁ tatte paśyāmi. So again, your rūpaṁ, which is very kalyāṇakari, which is very auspicious. And I will focus on this a little bit more aspect. Tatte paśyāmi, so that I can see that form, that rupa of your face. Okay. And yo sava asau purushaha soham asmi. And you are that purusha behind that effulgence, and so am I. Okay, so this is an interesting, last one also is an interesting word, so am I. And like we will discuss that also. Upanishads are meant to be interpreted also by the impersonalists. So this soham asmi is a great, Yahoo kind of hooray moment for all the impersonalists. Okay, so we will see that. We will go into that discussion also. But that's not the focus, that's not the only focus, but that is a focus. So you have understood the two verses. I think I have a, yeah, okay, next slide. That's what my slides got all disarranged. So mantra 15 and 16, the essence or from the, where's the prayer slide? Wait a minute. Oh, prayer slide is next. Good. So both are, like we discussed, it's the whole thing is the prayer section, correct? 15 to 18 is the prayer section. Are you all following? Anybody completely lost where we are? You're all on track? Yeah, Upanishads are a little hard to understand. I was like reading these verses all day today, and I was myself trying to distill out the message and see how I can put it in a simple way. So I wouldn't blame you if you're a little confused. Read it many times and you will understand. So mantra 15 is a prayer to the Lord to remove the effulgence so that his form may be revealed to his devotee. So that is one aspect. Now that aspect is contained within 16 also, but that is only one part of 16. 16 is enhancing that by saying that along with realizing the form of the Lord, to also realize his own spiritual position in relation to the Lord. So there is glorification of the Lord, more glorification with all those terms, Surya, Prajapatya, and other terms, right? What all terms were there? Prajapatya, Surya, Ekarsha, Yama, Pushana. Pushan is also there in the previous verse also, I think. Yeah, Tattvam Pushan Apavrinu. So anyway, so all these prayers are there, plus Soham Asmi, that to understand our position in relationship to the Lord as well. So these two prayers, and we will see 15 and 16 are prayers for knowledge. Knowledge means to see the Lord. Wow, this is the Lord. And then what can I do about it, or what should I do about it? We will discuss in next class. They are prayers for practice. Okay, so today is about seeing the Lord. All right. So that is 15 and 16. So let us first focus on prayer. So what are the prayers? In another slide, if my slides are still in order, we will see the importance of prayer. Why pray? What does prayer buy us? That's a common question, right? In our company, we'll say, what will this buy us? Basically, it means what's the benefit of, but it's the language itself is like materialistic. What will it buy us? Okay, so prayer also will just say it like, what will it buy us? What will it get us? How does prayer benefit? So that is the next question, I think. Yeah, necessity of prayer. So what is the prayer in these two verses? Let us see. So we already discussed. And here in the picture, you can see that the Lord is there, and there is a dazzling effulgence of the Lord, which is called as what? What do we call this dazzling effulgence? We have discussed so many times.
Hiranmay.
Brahma Jyoti, very nice. That is the Brahma Jyoti effulgence of the Lord. So, what are some of the just aspects of the prayer? So, I could have done this as I have a couple of group exercises today. I could have added this as a group exercise, but it's just about reading the verses properly or carefully. So, you are the reservoir, patrena, patra, reservoir of golden, bright golden effulgence, of dazzling effulgence. That's one. So it's a prayer, right? Prayer has the aspect of glorification of whom you are praying to. That's also prayer, correct? And the second aspect of a prayer is to ask for something. Okay. Now, we have various kinds of prayers. Sukh sampati ghar aave. So that is also asking for something, but that is asking for something material. Here we are asking for something spiritual, to see the Lord. So that is spiritual. Okay. So to show your real face to me. So that is the part of the prayer. So prayer can have glorification. It can have some kind of a request for receiving something, receiving the darshan. The word darshan was there, correct? I think. Yeah, drishtaye and tatte paśyāmi. So that aspect is there to receive something in terms of being able to see something, show your real face. Also, the devotee is praying to remove this Hmm. 7.25. What is 7.25? Yoga Maya Samavritah. Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavritah. To those who think that I am just a person, avyaktam vyaktim apannam, manyate mam abuddhayaha. To them, Lord Krishna says, Yoga Maya Samavritah. I cover myself with my Yoga Maya. So that is Yoga Maya is nothing but that dazzling effulgence, and therefore those who are praying to the Brahman only see the Brahman. They cannot see the person behind the Brahma Jyoti. So he's asking to remove that. So another point is that is something to be removed. If it is removed, you can see something behind it. Then there is a lot of aspects which we discussed. He is Ekarshi. Ekarshi means you are the supreme knowledge. You are the destination of the pure devotees, Suryaha. You are everyone's well-wisher, well-wisher of the well-wisher, Prajapatya. Your rupa is the most auspicious. All this is glorification. What is that? Tatte rūpaṁ kalyāṇa-tamaṁ. We will discuss that. Tatte rūpaṁ kalyāṇa-tamaṁ. Where is it? Yatte, not tatte. Yatte rūpaṁ kalyāṇa-tamaṁ. So your rupa, your face or your form is the most kalyāṇakari, most auspicious. You are the brilliant person. And soham asmi. I am qualitatively same as you. We will discuss that point also. Soham asmi. Okay. So these are the aspects of the prayer. Okay. So what is the necessity or the power of prayer? Why pray? So three things, three very important things, three components of prayer. First and foremost, prayer invokes the Lord's mercy. Okay, we can keep putting our own effort, but when we pray, we take a lower position. Pray is a word, but some aspect of prayer is, to beg. The whole point of prayer is not to demand. You are asking for something in a prayer, or you are saying something, but the position, there is a position here, upper and lower position. That is prayer. It cannot be prayer at an equal level. That word does not contain that aspect. So to invoke the Lord's mercy, and it is entirely upon the Lord or to whom you are praying, whether he chooses to reciprocate or not. This reciprocation aspect is very important. So you are requesting the reciprocation. Please show your face. He may or may not show. If he shows, that will be reciprocation. If he doesn't show, then he doesn't consider you worthy enough to be reciprocated to. Are you following? So there is all these aspects. So it is, you are requesting, you are praying, requesting, begging, all these are kind of synonyms. The second part of a prayer is it reveals and increases our desire to connect with the Lord. So desire is the most important. When there is a desire, then we actually take action. Without desire, there is no action. So what does Lord Krishna say? Where does this come? That by prayer, increase your desire in Bhagavad Gita. Very important verses there. Directly on this point. Who can tell? The power of prayer. You can raise your hand. The word desire is right in the verse. Mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. Where it comes? Mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. So it comes in 12.9. So I believe I can share. Are you all able to see the, what are you seeing? Now you are seeing the Chrome browser?
Yes.
So it comes in chapter 12 when Lord Krishna is describing the various levels. So in verse number 8, the Lord is describing Shuddha Bhakti, that always remember me. Okay? So there he's saying, just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Mai eva mana adhatsva. So always put your mind in me. Mai buddhim niveshaya. Invest, nivesh karna, we'll say, no? Nivesh, dhan nivesh yojana. So no, in Indian government, they come up with all these nivesh yojanas, investment plans. So mai buddhim niveshaya. So like this, you will nivasishyasi mayeva. So you will always live in me. Next verse is, if you cannot do this, atha chittam samadhatum na shoknashi mayi sthiram. If you cannot with sthir man, you cannot put your chitta, your mana in me, then what you do? Abhyas yogena tato mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. By your practice of doing that, just practice it. Abhyas yogena tato mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. So that abhyas yogena is prayer. So prayer increases our ichha for mam, for Krishna. By prayer, so prayer is like we are requesting the Lord for increasing our desire. You may not directly request, please increase my desire. There are prayers like that also. Please increase my desire. But prayer itself increases our desire to attain the Lord. So that is the other aspect. There are slides. So that is this reveals and increases our desire to connect with the Lord. So that is the second point. It is part of the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Vaidhi means vidhi, not raga sadhana, raganuga sadhana, but Vaidhi sadhana. By certain prayers, by the rules and regulations, do this prayer, this prayer, this prayer. So that is why we recite all the prayers to the Lord. And it develops a deeper relationship with the Lord. When we recite those prayers, not only our desire increases, but we become deeper and deeper devotees by those prayers. Now, simply by reciting the prayers without understanding will also lead to these benefits, but more so they will lead to the benefits faster if we understand the prayers. So therefore, it is very important to understand the prayers that we are saying. Okay, that's why in all of Srila Prabhupada's books, you will not find any Sanskrit verse without a translation. And more so without a word-by-word translation is more important. Now, he didn't or wasn't because of lack of time, and he was so much in a sense of urgency. In his purports, he would quote a verse and maybe sometimes just give a translation as mentioned in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 1.4 point whatever, and then he will just give translation. Or sometimes in his purports, he would give the verse and then give the translation, no word by word, but entire of all of his three major works, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, he has given for the actual verses, every one he has given a word by word translation known as Anvaya. So through that, through the full translation, we must understand all those verses. And in the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, there are so many prayers. So many prayers in the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are there. Okay, Arjuna's prayers are there in Bhagavad Gita, for example. Okay, so we must understand the prayers that we are saying. So that is about the prayers, the importance of prayers, and what we should do to get the maximum benefit out of the prayers. Okay. So now we are all praying, we all pray, we recite so many types of prayers. In morning, we recite the prayers to Guru Ashtakam. We recite so many other prayers. All the aratis are basically prayers. Either they are glorification, request for mercy, or request for some spiritual benefit, to remove our hurdles in our spiritual progress, to see the Lord, to taste his various to taste his prasad or get his darshan or whatever, all the spiritual benefits we pray for. So just some questions, and some devotees I would request to, share from whatever your experience are. That the first one is, how much, so this is talking about the reciprocation. So we said in the first one, reciprocation. We are requesting the Lord for some benefit. We are not demanding, we are not forcing, we cannot. Which means that if he wants to give us the benefit, that is his reciprocation. If he doesn't, then too bad. We need to pray more strongly or more sincerely, more seriously we need to pray. So when we are praying, we must pray with a strong faith that one day he will reciprocate. It is not just some hollow action that we are doing. So how much faith do we have within ourselves that the Lord is a person capable of receiving and reciprocating to our prayers? So yes, we pray. I mean, the logical question can be, then why pray? Many people, there need to be some little faith, but the question really is, what is that, the strength of that faith, or how much faith is there when you are praying? So anybody would like to share, when you pray, with what mood do you pray? You can raise your hands so that we can go in some sequence. So think about it, take 1 minute, think, we will pause, and then you can raise your hands. And you have already raised, some of you, so we can go in that sequence. Question is clear? With what mood do you pray? With how much faith do you pray? Before that, the question should be, do you understand what you are praying? or you are just chanting something. Done. So all that is included within the question. At least something basic you should understand, like Guru Ashtakam. Okay, I'm praying to the Guru. At least that much. There are 8 verses in that. So there is a lot of content within that prayer. At least something you must understand. Okay. So anybody in the room? Yes, Kinjal Mataji and then.
With love and glorification, so I can praise the Lord for some time at least. Give my mind to Him.
So praying with a mood of love and putting your mind, focusing your mind on the Lord. Okay, very nice. We may not understand the words, but at least we know this is something related to, like, kind of what you are saying is, I may not understand what the prayer is actually saying, but it must be something to glorify the Lord. So let me at least focus on the Lord. Yeah, very nice. Some people asked senior devotees how to chant, how to focus the mind on the Lord. What is the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra? And then Srila Prabhupada has given a full purport. But I've also heard simple explanations. Just focus your mind on the Lord. If you cannot focus, pick up any book of Srila Prabhupada, open one of those picture plates, and just see the picture while you are chanting. So your eyes are engaged on, like you may see this picture of Lord speaking Bhagavad Gita. So just see that picture, at least focus your mind. Even if you don't understand what the Hare Krishna Mahamantra means, at least focus your mind on Krishna. Okay, that's very nice. That's, yes, Mataji. Then we'll go online.
I would say that bhakti for me, or the faith for me, it's like evolved over the time. So it's not that, okay, day one I was like focused and like, okay, this is love, this is my devotion. It has like kind of evolved. It started with like material gains, material wants, and like siddhi, happiness, like those kind of requests. And then it has evolved, and as the rasa improved, like it turned into more like love towards him. Like that, it's, I mean, from what I understand, like you need to have love before you can have faith. So, or like the other way around, I think faith comes before love.
Faith comes first.
But like I think like I'm right now at a place wherein there's love, and it's like it's the love of surrender. It's the love of, okay, he knows it, he's going to just take care of it.
Very nice. So what Mataji said, those who could not hear, there's a evolution in our faith. First, there is a request for some material benefits, but as we see that, yes, Lord is, reciprocating, then one may realize that what is the point of asking these material benefits? Let us ask for his love. Material benefits seem cheaper. Very nice. Okay, Niru Mataji.
Prabhuji, on the faith, I do with full faith, in the Lord. And my bhav is of dasya, where I am begging for his mercy that I get his bhakti, I progress in bhakti. That is the key point in my prayer when I'm requesting, and his glorification.
Okay, very good. Thank you for sharing. So when we say I'm praying with full faith, that was actually the question, with how much faith. So yeah, we need to increase our faith. I cannot say I have full faith. When recently there was discussion about layoffs in my company and this and that. Oh, what will happen if I get laid off? How will I pay the mortgage, or how will I pay this? What will happen? How much saving I have? All those, the thoughts went in that direction. Or one who has full faith, in theory, could be completely unaffected. Say, somehow or the other, Lord will take care. It would be as inconsequential as, okay, today it's raining outside. Okay, it's raining. Nice. We haven't had rain. So, yeah. Okay, very nice, Mataji. Megha Mataji. And then Abhimanyu Prabhu or Anjana Mataji after that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'll keep my response short, Prabhuji. So I pray with 100% faith. Rather, I will even speak on behalf of So we have 100% faith, and our mood is that of submissiveness, and love and happiness, Prabhuji. Hello, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Abhimanyu Prabhu, or is it Mataji? I don't know.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So
Hare
as you
Krishna.
said that Hare Krishna. So as you said that I mean I wouldn't say that I have 100% faith. I'm not there yet. It's still in progress. But I would say that I pray to Lord that give me a wisdom so that I choose Him over materialistic energy, because the material world is so attractive and so it has such a big pull on you that it attracts you all the time. So I ask for the wisdom that where I choose Him over materialistic life and materialistic attraction.
Very nice. So prayers need not be prayers that have been given by our scriptures or through the Shastra. Those are very nice prayers if we fully understand them. But depending on our particular mood and our particular desire at a specific time, we need to be able to select the right prayer from the Shastra. Desire means, like Mataji mentioned, desire to get away from material sense gratification desires. So select a proper prayer that reflects that and say that prayer. Or since we are all not, so many of us are not, including myself, not so conversant with all the prayers, make up your own prayer in your own language. The best prayer is from the heart. And just ask the Lord for whatever you are experiencing as a hurdle in your bhakti at that moment of time or in that phase. There was a phase when I was in the temple. I was, for example, doing my treasurer activities, and there were all this management issues and this and that and that, and my mind was very used to remain little agitated, how to do this or how to do that. And then I used to, anyway, don't want to get too personal, but any given situation, any given hurdle that is coming up, sincerely one can pray to the Lord that please help me to get over this somehow or the other, please. So the Lord definitely, that goes to the next question. How are you preparing to receive His reciprocation? So since time is short and we still have a lot of material to cover, I will just explain these points. There is another group exercise that is there. Okay. We must be ready to receive His reciprocation. Again, the idea is reciprocation. It is not a demand. Demand means you put terms and conditions. Here is how you must do. You put an SLA, correct? It's a contract. This is you put what you call KPIs. What is that? Key quality indicator, something. Yeah, it has to be like this. It must do like this. So basically you are not requesting, you are demanding. So you cannot put KPIs, you cannot put SLA into the prayer. So the Lord's reciprocation will be in His own terms. Then you can say, Arey, this is not what I asked. I asked for something and you are giving me this. So, but we have to be able to receive that, knowing that this is really what He thinks is my response or is the reciprocation for my prayer. Sometimes it may be bitter. You go to the doctor and ask for pain relief and he gives you a bitter medicine. You say, I wanted a sweet medicine. But you are not the one who gets to say whether the sweet medicine should be given or the bitter medicine should be given. So how are we preparing? Are we preparing to receive His reciprocation on His terms, or are we preparing to receive only what we want? And if we get the reciprocation and we don't like it, we reject it. Sorry, that's not what I asked. That's not what I wanted. Then request becomes a want or a demand. So there need to be clarity about this aspect. So many times the Lord reciprocates, and sometimes when we say increase my bhakti, but he knows that we are something very attached to some sense gratification, he will take it away. Are, you took it away. You asked to increase your bhakti. So it's like, the child is asking, how should I study more? The father says, okay, give back your smartphone. No more smartphone for you. Are, how can you take my smartphone away? Because that is what is a hurdle in your study or video game or something. I remember, we had long back, we cut out the video games. There was 1 week of trauma. And then till today, everything is fine. So yes, sometimes there may be trauma, but ultimately we have to receive it as the reciprocation. So are we preparing to receive the reciprocation in the right way, or is it more like a demand? And the third one also was very sweet exercise. Maybe we could do few devotees can raise their hands, maybe one in the room and one online. From your personal experiences, how has the Lord reciprocated to you? If you have your hand raised from previous question, please lower it. I wouldn't know if you are for this one or for the old one. So anybody? In your life, how is the Lord reciprocating to you or trying to reveal himself to you? Okay, we'll take somebody new, otherwise we'll go ahead. I think.
Lord has sent very kind people in our life.
So
In so many ways. So that's how he's making things easier so that we can focus on, take out that time and do the things.
Okay, very nice. So she's saying the Lord has sent very kind people, very helpful people who pave the way rather than put roadblocks in the way. You're trying to go on the road, and if people pave the way, it becomes easier. And that is Lord's reciprocation. There's a very nice sentence I heard from senior devotees that we say, oh, by chance it happened. So chance is the Lord's way of staying anonymous. Ultimately, he only is doing, but he doesn't want to, he wants to stay anonymous. We take it as chance. Okay. Yes, let's see. Ramakant Prabhu, could you?
Though faith exists in my mind, many a times it becomes mechanical because of the time constraints to do something else. But whenever mind becomes concentrated at some times, I receive sensations over the body, and even tears comes out of the eyes. So I have experienced, and so many things happened which was beyond my control. But that's why I say that God mercy was there, that I received that thing.
Okay, very nice. Okay, Megha Mataji and Anjana Mataji, very quickly, 30 seconds if you would like, please go ahead.
Sure, Prabhuji. Yeah, Prabhuji, for me, I think God has revealed himself because he's given us constant association of great devotees.
Very nice. Association is a very important part.
And he's helping us move steadily in the path of bhakti. And also I feel that he's also reciprocated by giving us some intelligence to attend the classes and gain his knowledge, Prabhuji. I don't know how much we are doing, but I do think that is his mercy.
Very nice.
I will end there, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
And through Srila Prabhupada coming here to America, who could have thought that we will get to know the glories of the Supreme Lord? Many of us are from India, and we spent a lot of time there, ourselves included, and we got the spiritual inspiration or motivation after coming here through devotees, and primarily Srila Prabhupada. And then he inspired other devotees, and those devotees inspired us after coming to the West. The power of association in these, so to say, completely far off materialistic lands. Very nice. All right. So very quick topic, we will move forward on impersonalism. So verses 15 through 18 completely defeat impersonalism. So I had prepared a long discussion, but I didn't realize it will be 7 o'clock already on impersonalism. But quickly, impersonalism from a slightly different angle, it can be discussed in many, many angles. And this is leading up to that aspect of soham asmi. It's a feast for the impersonalists, that I am you, or I am just like you. You are the Surya, soham, and so am I. And that is there in Srila Prabhupada's translation as well. Right here. You are the eternal supreme personality of Godhead, like unto the sun, as am I. I am also supreme personality of Godhead.
Is it same like saying Aham Brahmasmi?
Aham Brahma Asmi, or Tat Tvam Asi, or all those points. So Upanishads are open to being interpreted by and give these, sort of cracks in the verses for impersonalists to enter. And also the Lord sends acharyas, Vaishnava acharyas, to give the correct meaning. And not only the acharyas. Here we will see, let me see what is the next slide. Yeah, this one. Okay, so yeah. So I will kind of include this and the next one. We'll try to complete the discussion by 7:30. Okay. So in not only by dependence on the interpretation of the acharyas, because then you can say it is interpretation, even though it is by great acharyas, and sometimes by the Supreme Lord himself, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now one can say, oh, is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu God? So there is a whole document, 50-page document, full of Shastric references that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna. So anyway, the Lord comes himself or sends his biggest acharyas, his own personal servants, to give us the right understanding. But not only that, in the same Shastra, in the exact same Shastra, he will give us the clues of how to understand such references or such cracks, or to close the cracks, to fix the gap or fill the gaps. Okay, so we will see that. So what is impersonalism? From this example, this particular or from this particular vector or point of view, not point of view, but there are various aspects of impersonalism. The one we will discuss is through the Sankhya philosophy, the impersonalist Sankhya philosophy standpoint. Sankhya philosophy means the philosophy of counting, sankhya. So it's all about counting. Okay, so we count basically many things. So one of the things that is counted is the nature of the material world. So there are so many counts. So first there is 2 counts. One that is kshara and akshara, fallible and infallible. Okay, so there is a spiritual element and a material element. So count is 2, correct? Then the material element is further counted sometimes as 8, ashtadha, bhumirapa anala vayu, kha mana buddhir, kha mano buddhir, evacha ahankara. Itiyam mein bhinna prakrita ashtar, ahankar. So bhumirapa anala vayu, kha mana buddhi, ahankara. 8. Then further in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 13, it becomes 24 elements and so on. So there's all this counting. But in all this counting, it becomes very complicated. Then from those 24 elements, we can go further. The house comes. the iPhone comes, the iWatch comes, my glasses come, my pen comes. From that one element, which is 5 elements, which is further 24 elements, and then we have unlimited items. Correct? How can all these things come from that one element? Isn't it complicated? It's complex. That's also what is done in modern science, isn't it? In modern science, there are so many things. Then we come up with the, not come up, it's not, there is obviously very valid science in it. You go look deeper, then you see, aha, there are molecules. So there is a molecule of water. So water, or there is a molecule of plastic, or whatever you may have, plastic or whatever type of plastic it may be, some poly, I don't know, I'm not a chemical engineer. So there are so many, then you go further down, you break it down. So I'm now going into this topic of reductionism. There is a process of reductionism in understanding material nature. What is the common thread across all these various varieties that we see? Even in plastic, there are so many varieties. This plastic of this pen is very different from the plastic, I don't know, some other plastic, maybe the plastic that is used in the iPhone or whatever. This is more stronger plastic, maybe. So there is so much variety. So we try to find out what is the commonality. So we come up with elements, whatever, 92 stable elements, 120 elements, whatever, Einsteinium and all these weird elements which are not stable also beyond 92. So then we break it down further, we go look deeper, then we come neutron, proton, electron. Okay, just with 3 things we can describe everything. Okay. Then we go further down, further down, further. So it's the philosophy of reductionism. What is that one thing? Best is if you can come up with one thing which explains everything. Also, you know, you must have heard this theory of everything. One equation which can explain everything. So this is the philosophy of reductionism. In physics also, like Newton's laws. Okay. They say it explains everything. I am a science person. I agree with the material level. Like if you were to know the current velocity and position of every particle in the whole universe, then you can know the future, isn't it? Velocity and position. Okay. Of course, you have to exclude one thing from there. What is that? It's on the slide. Consciousness. Okay, this iPhone is sitting there peacefully on the table. I know its velocity and position. So future predicts it should stay there till I move it. So I decided to flick my finger and the iPhone moved. Because I am a conscious person, I could do that. So all laws of physics, you know, got failed. How come the iPhone that was just sitting there on the table suddenly moved? Because I decided to, or my finger decided to, not my finger, I decided to move my finger, bring it in contact with the phone, and the phone moved. So if you remove consciousness, then you know the future of the universe, correct? And how do you know the future of the universe? Simply by Newton's laws. 3 laws can tell you the whole future. Of course, we will exclude relativistic kinematics and all that stuff from there. But you get the point. Reductionism. But scientists also agree we can do all this, but it becomes so complex, so complex. Okay, there are machines. When you know you have this lottery, some Powerball, jackpot, blah, 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 billions of dollars of lottery is there, right? How do they select the number? Have you seen some YouTube video or something? They press some button, some air goes in a bubble, some balls start flying, and then the balls fall into some place and some number comes wherever the ball falls. Something like that, okay? So it's a process of randomness, correct? But pressing the button generates some flow of air in that chamber, the balls move around, basically you are putting in, everything could be calculated in that little chamber. But the math or it becomes so complex that you cannot practically calculate every particle's movement, and you treat the result as random. And you are basically willing to bet billions of dollars on that randomness. Correct? You following? Or for some people it may be a little bit hard. All this is coming from Sadaputa Prabhu's points and arguments he has made in his various books and lectures. Okay. So the point is, even though we understand the fundamental equations, you extrapolate the size of the problem, it becomes impractical. So what good are the equations if they cannot predict some even, contained level of matter? There's no consciousness there. You just pressed a button. The machine is working. Okay. Still, the point is it becomes so complex that it is incalculable. You're getting the point? So, but still, we put our faith in the Newton's laws. Still, we put our faith in the Newton's laws because it gives such a simple understanding of nature. It gives such a simple, and that is our desire for reductionism. We don't know whether there was any law other than Newton's laws that were acting in that chamber. How do you know? How do you know? Has anybody calculated? Has anybody been able to do an experiment that after pressing the button, every molecule's velocity and everything was calculated? And yes, the numbers came out exactly as the Newton's laws predicted. And therefore, there was nothing else in play. Has anybody done such an experiment? No, it is not possible to do such an experiment. It's so complicated. You just assume that Newton's laws are the only thing that work and the results. But our Shastras tell us the person who won the lottery must have done some punya karma. So those numbers did not appear by chance, or there was something behind it that number appeared. But science cannot see that action of karma anyway. There's no way to see that. All you will see is Newton's laws, and still those are also completely out of human capacity to calculate. But still we put our faith in the laws. No, only the laws produced this result, nothing else. That is reductionism. So what is the limitation here? That is the key question. The limitation of Sankhya philosophy is that burning need for reductionism. In Sankhya philosophy also we say everything is Brahman. Everything is just a transformation of Brahman. Just like we say everything is a transformation of neutron, proton, electron. Or everything is a transformation of Newton's laws, or whatever, depending if you are a physicist or a chemist. So in the same way, so the limitation of this is our minds. The next question, is this limitation inherent or manufactured? The limitation is that it is so complex. There is so much variety in the world, and we are trying to find the one thing to explain the reality. We do that in material understanding as well. The one thing that will explain everything, whether it is Newton's laws or whether it is the fundamental particles or whatever it is. So we are looking for that one thing that can explain everything. Because our minds can only deal with simple things. Our minds are not complex enough to deal with so much complexity. So we are trying to find that common minimum thing using which we can feel, aha, now I understand everything. If the physicists understand everything, then why don't they predict the lottery number? Because they can apply all the laws of physics and win billions of dollars. They just say, yes, laws are at work. But I don't want the $1 billion. So that it is so complex. The fundamental point in this whole discussion is that it is so complex. Material world itself is so complex, and therefore that our minds cannot fathom the complexity. So we are trying to look for that simple thing which we think can define it or can make us feel that we understand it. That is called reductionism. And the limitation is not inherent, it is manufactured. We are trying to find that common thing. It may not be common. It may not be that those 3 laws define everything. Mr. Einstein came much, much later and told us that no, those 3 laws are not enough. In certain corner cases, at relativistic speeds, close to speed of light, those laws fail. Here are new laws. Okay. And then if you go back to the beginning of the universe, even those laws fail. The first 3 minutes, there's a book, very famous book by a very famous Nobel Prize winner. What's his name? That old, obviously all Nobel Prize winners are old. Come on. The first 3 minutes. Anyway, so he describes how we still do not know any laws that can tell us how the first 3 minutes of the current universe, which laws it followed. Steven Weinberg. Yes, Steven Weinberg. Anyway, now consider the complexity in the spiritual world. In the material world itself, there is so much complexity. That too, if you remove consciousness. Okay. That is why scientists don't even add consciousness, because the moment you add that, everything goes for a toss. Like the iPhone example sitting here, I gave you. I can predict the future of this iPhone perfectly if nobody touches it. Then I can predict, but nobody can predict. I could try to push it. He could come and, push it back, and we could play a game of ping pong, and we would never know what the final position of this will be. In the spiritual world, it gets infinitely more complex because there is no matter. There is only consciousness. Everything is conscious. Even a blade of grass is conscious. So there is this innate need for reductionism, and the Sankhya philosophy says that there is this fundamental truth called the Brahman, which explains everything. So that is impersonalism. That there is no consciousness. There's not a conscious person. Everything is Brahman. It's impersonal, right? Impersonal means there's no person behind it. Even when you call some support care center these days, it's all impersonal. Automated person talks to you. Don't you feel like there was a real person talking? Many times you always say, representative, please. You want to talk to a person. You don't want to talk to a machine, right? That is impersonal. So everything is Brahman. Now we'll come back to this group exercise in just a second. But Soham Asmi, let's talk about this. So I am, so am I. You are the Supreme Lord, so am I. Let us see. So Srila Prabhupada, I'm giving you the answer here. Srila Prabhupada talks about this in the purport. You must all read Srila Prabhupada's purports carefully. Qualitative oneness. And we have discussed this many times. Quantitatively, no. Okay. Qualitatively, we are all the same as the Supreme Lord, but quantitatively, vastly different. And 3 examples are given. Who can tell the 3 examples quickly? Raise your hand. Yes, Shyamlila Mataji. One example.
Example of the ocean and like a drop in the ocean, the salt, like the quality of salt is same, but amount is different.
Yes, the quality of water, salty water in the ocean is exactly the same as the whole ocean, but quantitatively very different. Another example here mentioned, Forest, not just fire.
And spark.
Forest fire. Just to show the quantitative difference. Forest fire, not the fire in your backyard, in a bonfire. Forest fire and a spark. Very nice. Yes, Niru Mataji.
Gold, the element of gold and jewelry.
Yeah, a particle of gold versus
Jewelry.
no, not jewelry. That's like your backyard fire. Gold mine.
Gold mine.
Gold
Gold
mine.
mine.
That much difference is there in quality and in quantity. Qualitatively, they are all the same. A particle of gold is the same as the gold in the gold mine. Quantitatively, huge difference. And this, how is this evident from the verse? Right there, the Lord, who is the originator of the Upanishads. Upanishads are part of the Vedas, which is Shruti. Īśopaniṣad is coming from Yajurveda. So the Lord himself is saying this verse, Yatte rūpaṁ kalyāṇa-tamaṁ tatte paśyāmi. Let's focus on this. Tamam. Those who have been in the Bhagavad Gita classes should understand what is the meaning of tamam. Tamam kya hota hai? Most. Where did we find it in Bhagavad Gita? Uttamam, but even more.
Guhyatamam.
Guhyatamam. What is the next lower level?
Guhyataram.
Tara. And the next lower? Just the root word, whatever you are, no, nothing. So guhya, guhyatara, and guhyatama. Similarly, here it could be kalyāṇa, kalyāṇa-tara, and kalyāṇa-tamaṁ. Okay. So here, what is he saying? What is being said? Yat te rūpaṁ kalyāṇa-tamaṁ, which means your rupa is the most kalyanakari, isn't it? Kalyāṇa-tamaṁ, it's the most kalyanakari. Kalyāna means auspiciousness, right? Aapka kalyāna ho, we say, may you be blessed. So your rupa is the most kalyanakari. That I want to see. Tatte paśyāmi. Please show me that. Right? So why is there a comparison? Nothing versus tara versus tama. What are these things that are added to words? What is the fundamental point of these classification? Isn't it to compare? It's a comparative term. Don't we say good, better, best? Small, medium, large, something like that, right? Isn't it like this? Good, better, best? Good, better, best, what is it? Isn't it comparison? You go to a car dealer, you say, okay, Toyota Corolla is good, Camry is better. I don't know what is higher than that. Something more is best. Whatever, CRV or Highlander. So good, better, best. So if everything is the same, there should be no comparison. But here the Lord is saying, or the devotee, the prayer is saying, your rupa is the most kalyanakari. That means mine is not. Isn't it? Therefore, please show it to me. So the oneness is that both have a rupa. Yes, he also has a rupa. I also have a rupa. Soham asmi. But if it was exactly the same, why would the word tamam be there? And why would the devotee want to see that? Don't we want to see beautiful things? Anybody wants to see ugly things? No. But if you think about it, please think about it. The most beautiful people, the actress, actors, they look down upon others because they know I am very beautiful. And out of that ego, they want to be the one who are looked upon. The more you desire to be looked upon and you lose your capacity to look at others, the more you become material. This is a very deep Sankhya philosophy. This table here, can it look at you? Can the table look at you? Can you look at the table? That means, can the table be looked at? Can the table be looked at? That is one of the fundamental properties of matter. That which cannot look, but can be looked at. And therefore it is said there is a lot of ego in this table. Ahankar. Think about it. So this may be complex. So you think about yourself. I want to be looked at. I want to be in the center on a statue, on a high pedestal, so that everybody should look at me. And I am looking at the top, not looking at those who are looking at me. Isn't that an egoistic stand? That means you are like that object who wants to be looked at, but doesn't look at others. The humble standpoint is, I am nobody. I just want to look at those who are superior to me. That adds life. That is consciousness, the real consciousness. When you want to look at others, but you don't care about being looked at. Are you following? The desire to be looked at versus the desire to look. So we don't want to. So those who are, if everything is the same, why would I want to look at them? That means it is not the same. We are lower than the Lord. That is not the same. Otherwise, why would say tatte paśyāmi? That too, we want to look at the most beautiful. So there is a comparison and there is a desire to look. Both are there. That both those things show that the Jiva is lower. It's not the same. Soham asmi is qualitative, not quantitative. So it has been proven. I have not used any other phrases from any other Shastra directly through logic and through the Upanishad's own words in the same verse. Of course, this whole process of understanding is coming from acharyas and senior devotees, but it makes sense. They have to explain, but it makes sense. The clues are all in the verse itself. So Jiva's rupa is somewhat beautiful. Yes, even an old person has some rupa. He is more beautiful than an even older person with more wrinkles, with more whatever deformed face. Just I'm taking a material example, right? There's always levels. There's always, like they say, somebody lower than you. If you are feeling low about yourself, go find a person who is more suffering than you. You will feel better. There's also this saying, right? I was complaining about my small shoes till I saw a man with no feet.
Legs.
Anyway, so, but the Lord's rupa is infinitely beautiful. That is the point. Okay. So it is a statement of comparison, tamam. Otherwise, why introduce that? So this defeats this whole impersonalism. Okay, that was the last slide. It is 7:32. We had one exercise. Let us perhaps do it. What aspects of mantras 15 and 16 indicate the two things, that the Lord is personal? Okay, this is important. This is one of the crux of the exercise, so I'll go by 5 minutes extra. What aspects indicate the personal aspect of the Lord? And not only that, but that the personal aspect is superior. There are two aspects to it. You could just say that, okay, fine, the Lord has a personal aspect, but the personal aspect is inferior to Brahman. That is what one category of the impersonalists may say. Okay, fine, Lord has a personal aspect, but the topmost is Brahman. So not only we also have to defeat that, or we have to understand which one is superior. Some may say Lord doesn't even have a personal form. So we have to address that also, both things, right? So I'll just show these verses, or you can see on your book or smart device, whatever. I couldn't put both of these. I will actually show the Veda base. And there you can see both the verses I will just, the only way to show it is in this view, default view. It's 15 and 16. So what aspects show the personal aspect and that it is superior? You can raise your hand quickly. We will do it in 2-3 minutes. There's very obvious things. Yes, Gopal. Very nice. In the 15, it refers to mukham. By mukh kiska hota hai? Who has a face? Mukham. Does nothingness have a face? No, right? How can nothingness have a face or oneness? So mukham, very nice. Shyamlila Mataji, oh, you lowered your hand.
Prabhuji, I was going to say mukham in 15 and rūpaṁ in 16.
Very nice. Rūpaṁ. So roop hai. So there is a rupa. So all these are indicating the personal aspect. Also, you can think about which one is superior. Yes, NS 2020. Who is that?
Yeah, I am Vijay Lakshmi Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that is Mukham is identification of the person. Without that, we can't do anything. We can't go anywhere like that. God is given that by birth. It is very important to the person. With the Mukham only, we can see the Krishna also and go to the associations like that, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Effulgence and God are two different things here.
Yes, Parul Mataji.
In the 16th, like how it says, like you're a philosopher and maintainer. Anybody who's a maintainer, he has to have like a physical body.
Exactly.
Have a body with like
Prajapati.
Yeah.
How can nothingness sustain anybody? Prajapati means, yes, very nice point.
Also, like for us to like realize somebody's
Hmm.
emotions or happiness,
Yes.
you need to have that yourself. And anything that's material or like
Now the Sanskrit word there is ek rishi. So rishi word is also a person, but yeah, that is little bit on towards more on the borderline side. One can say that it is the absolute knowledge. Anyway, yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's like if there is no like a table or a chair cannot know my emotions or and it cannot like maintain me or it cannot like understand what I'm going through. But only other person can see through the actions or ways or emotions what the other person is going.
Very good. Thanks, Mataji. Yes, Prabhuji, you were saying something?
I was saying that effulgence and the man or the person behind the effulgence
Hmm.
are two different entities.
Okay, so what's the point you're making? Which one are you saying?
What I'm saying is that an effulgence has to have a source.
Yeah, so you are talking about the superiority aspect, not just the fact that there is a person behind rūpaṁ who has a face or mukham or something, but the fact that once you remove. So let me elaborate. The point being made, please understand this is nyaya or logic. Nyaya doesn't mean justice, but also means logic. If you remove the covering, I can see your face. All right. That is what is written right in the verse. So who is the cause and who is the effect? If I say remove the face itself, it is not mentioned in the verse, then the effulgence would also go away because he's being called as the Hiranyamana Patra. So if that face goes away, the effulgence will go away, which means the effulgence cannot stay without the face, but the face can stay if you remove the effulgence or the covering. So that logic proves that the face is superior to the effulgence. Are you following? Effulgence, the face can exist without the effulgence. And the effulgence is simply a characteristic or an attribute or some lower feature of that primary feature. Once it is removed, you can see the face. So it also proves the superiority of the Bhagawan aspect to the Brahman. Are you following? Through these verses. Correct? So it is not that the Īśopaniṣad, the Upanishads are impersonal. You can see the Upanishads are highly personal. Of course, yes, they are not as direct as Bhagavad Gita and even more so as Srimad Bhagavatam, but That is because we had discussed in the very first class, the purpose of Upanishads is slightly different. Okay, so that was the exercise, the group exercise. So we will, any questions there? Let's see. Oh, there are several questions on the, Okay, so let me try to read these questions. There are, there's one long one, which I will read later. Lord has always sorted out the situation when I call his name. Okay, so this was in response to the reciprocation. And in a better way than expected. Always got answers immediately, Medha Mataji. Very nice. So yeah. For more serious devotees, the Lord goes beyond expectations. Okay. And then Sai Prabhu is saying, it is his good mercy when he removes all the material attachments like family, friends, enjoyment of wealth, etc. When one is helpless, then prayer is much more sincere, devoid of the material ego and superficial identities, all of which are like a dream. Very nice, very nice. Needs some spiritual strength to realize that. So very nice. Okay, this long one is saying, what alternative is there? Nobody has such excellent beauty and enriching qualities and pastimes and friends like Krishna. He has expanded as Paramatma and is following us as companion and caregiver since time immemorial. That's correct. So faith must be there in him since there is no other such friend. That's correct. He is reciprocating constantly to each person, and when we see clearly, he is just like a doting mother or father who pampers us. Very true. Just knowing and remembering Krishna in his reciprocation. Okay. Otherwise, we would have only the temporary ghastly material world. Okay. Very nice realization. Thank you for sharing that. There wasn't a question there, so that's fine. Anything else? Abhyasa yoga yuktena. Yeah, that one is different. That doesn't talk about the Mam Ichhaptum Dhananjaya. So that Ichha aspect also is coming more clearly in 12.9. Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Chetasa Nanya Gamina is 8.8 or 8.9.
6th.
No, 8.9 verse. Okay, beautiful content, prayer. Okay, thank you. Okay, yes. Madhav Gauranga Prabhu, you have your hand raised.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, in the prayers, if you look at the last sentence, says, I am qualitatively the same as you. What is the reference for that? Why we are saying that word?
Why we are saying qualitatively?
Same as you.
So it's okay. I'm trying to understand the essence
Say
of
in
the
prayer,
question.
Yeah, a question it says, I am qualitatively same as you. So why we are saying that one to God?
Okay, why we are saying that to God is because that is, we are realizing, like I will show the slides, 1 second, to cover this aspect of the, in mantra 16, are you seeing the slide? To also realize the devotee's spiritual position in relation to the Lord. That finally, I am a spirit soul. I am not material. This material body is a covering. So I'm qualitatively the same. And the devotee is praying to the Lord that I am ultimately a spirit soul and I am not. I want to, you can think of it like I want to realize that. I want to come to that understanding. Or since I am in that understanding, if it's an advanced devotee, then he's asking for the Lord's mercy. That I am, and you will see in the next 2 verses, actually, you will see that please remember. That's also another kind of point. Why is the devotee asking the Lord, please remember what all I have done for you? Now in our Vaishnava prayers, those are not the things, please remember what I have done for you. We will talk about that. That is a prayer of desperation. And it is talking that prayer is coming at the time of death. So the focus of the next verse is death. How at the time of death there is severe desperation and anything is fair. Like they say, anything is fair in love and war. So at the time of death, it is ultimate war time, or ultimate, what you can say, time of distress. So whatever you want, or you can try to basically invoke the mercy of the Lord. Like in movies, you might have seen, mere bacche hain chote chote, please mujhe chhod do. And somebody is trying to kill you, something, you're trying to say to the Lord. So again, in the most advanced prayers, you wouldn't say, please remember what I have done. And the Lord is Antaryami. He already knows what we have done for him. But it is showing the mood of the devotee, the act of his desperation to ask for his mercy. Even trying to remind the Lord, even if you have forgotten, please remember. So it is a crying out to the Lord. So the point is to understand or to realize our position, which is spiritual, that we are not a person with a body, and that there is no identity. We will talk about this tomorrow in our Sunday class, in chapter 2 discussion. The most important impediment in our spiritual progress is our identity. And that is why the discussion of the soul occurs is the first topic Lord Krishna discusses in Bhagavad Gita from his side. When Lord Krishna talks speaking, he starts talking about the soul. That is because the identity, our identity from which attachments emerge. So we will have this deep discussion about identity, and the source of attachments being our identity. And a devotee who is trying to connect with the Lord is declaring, or he's saying, I have given up my identity and I am a spirit soul. So that is the purpose of putting that in the prayer, or that is part of the prayer as a way to. Also, it says here, one of the part of our prayer is to increase our desire to connect with the Lord. So the idea is, if we don't feel that way, the more and more we say it, it becomes real for us. So everything we are saying in a prayer may not be truly applicable in our case. Many of the parts in the prayer we say, but it doesn't apply to us. We don't follow it in letter and spirit. But by repeatedly saying and saying, we get reminded of it, and slowly we get there. As Srila Prabhupada and other devotees also say, if you cannot fake devotion, if you cannot be a devotee, at least fake it. Fake doesn't mean in a bad way, not like a pretender, but act in that way. That is why,
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it, exactly. That's why I say, okay, put on a dhoti, put on tilak. Okay, you don't feel like just now you went and unloaded on someone, gave them a piece of your mind. Now you put on dhoti, tilak, and come to the temple. So but at least externals influence the internals also. But that shouldn't go on for too long. It shouldn't be in a mood of hypocrisy and pretense. Hopefully that answers that question to my capacity. I answered, Prabhuji. Hopefully it
Yes,
was.
sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Prabhuji, I had a question.
Yeah.
If you can go back to your slide, the sankhya theory
Hmm.
that you shared.
That was one aspect of Sankhya, but yeah.
Yeah, and like the impersonalism versus the reductionism.
Not verses.
Not versus.
It wasn't verses. Reductionism is one of the motivations for impersonalism, because there is this, our inability to absorb or comprehend this complexity. Just like in the material science, we love reductionism. Similarly, the impersonalists love reductionism because they cannot understand the spiritual complexity, which is infinitely more than material complexity, which already is infinite.
But wouldn't rationalism and like logic would explain that? Like, why do we have to go to the theory of reduction? Like, if you make a logical statement, like even your example of your phone, right? Like, yes, somebody hit it. That's a logical explanation, and that's why this thing moved, right? Why do we have to go to that level?
No, because there also there is scientific theories that even the mind is matter. So why did my finger flick the phone? Because my consciousness, or in my mind, my brain thought that I should do it. That's because of the neurons firing in the brain, and because the neurons are also matter. So even the scientists, I mean, there is no proof of all this. This is like a really, really weird extrapolation. That whole lottery bubble, we can at least understand, okay, maybe, you know, if we had a supercomputer to calculate everything. But here in the brain also, they say it's all material. So everything can be predicted, including consciousness, because consciousness is matter. There is zero proof about that. And even the scientists kind of shy away from saying that. But push comes to shove, if you push them really hard, they will, that's what they will say. And they will say, it will go into whataboutism. Okay, I don't have a very good answer about this, but what about you? You don't have a good answer either, Mr. Spiritualist. And then that just becomes a debate like between the Republicans and Democrats. Never ends. Okay.
Reductionism is the only theory, or like is the only way we could explain this
No, I'm saying it is our inability to comprehend complexity is what drives us to like reductionism, or to what do you say, to appreciate or to accept reductionism.
But like it goes back to my point of like, why not logic? Like everybody has like mind to process the logic and rationalism behind anything, right? So why not we?
No, but that logic would be that there is somebody superior.
And we don't want to accept that.
And we don't want to accept that. That ahankar prevents us from accepting that there is somebody superior and he can go against what we want. Here we have the concept of reductionism. And so we know that at least if we wanted, we can control it. Okay. All right. We will stop here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to Jayanitai Prabhu for organizing and having us do an in-person version as well. Thank you so much. Śrī Īśopaniṣad ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.